All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive.
It's good to be back.
You know how sometimes you just get stuck on something, like a song lyric or a weird fact?
Yeah.
Well, I can't get the number 7 out of my head.
Really? Why is that?
Everywhere you look, there it is. 7 days of the week,
Oh, yeah.
7 continents, 7 colors of the rainbow.
Huh. Never thought about it like that.
Seriously, even Snow White had 7 dwarfs.
Right, right.
So anyway, our listeners sent in a bunch of stuff on the number 7.
Cool.
Ancient myths, religious texts, scientific research, you name it.
Wow, they really went all out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the deal with this number, right? Is there something deeper going on?
I mean, that's the question, isn't it? It's like people have been asking that for centuries.
Yeah.
It really does seem like this number 7 is just kind of woven into the fabric of like human experience.
Yeah.
From our earliest, attempts to understand the cosmos to like how we perceive the world today.
So to start with, our sources take us way back. Ancient civilizations, they were fascinated by 7, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of that comes from, the 7 celestial bodies.
Right.
They could actually see with the naked eye. The
Yeah.
sun, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn.
Right.
These were the wanderers, right?
Right.
Moving against the backdrop of those fixed stars,
Yeah.
it's no wonder those celestial bodies held such significance.
And that connection to the celestial bodies is probably why we have like a 7-day week.
Right, exactly, yeah. But it is interesting to think about, like, not all cultures adopted that 7-day system.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the Babylonians, they were kind of early adopters of the 7-day week, likely influenced by their astronomical observations. And then, like, the system kind of spread from there. But there are other cultures that developed totally different calendars, different timekeeping methods.
So our whole idea of a week could have been completely different.
Exactly, yeah.
That's wild. It makes you think like our whole concept of time is shaped by these ancient observations of the sky.
Yeah, it really is.
So was this 7-day cycle like purely practical for them, or was it like, did it have spiritual implications too?
It was definitely both. The 7 celestial bodies weren't just seen as physical objects,
Right.
They were like imbued with divine power and thought to influence everything, like agriculture and religious rituals.
So they weren't just looking at the stars, they were finding meaning in them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting. A lot of creation myths feature a 7-day creation period, for example.
Oh, right, yeah.
That reflects this idea that the universe was ordered and structured according to this, like sacred number 7.
That's amazing. Speaking of sacred, the sources also mention something about 7 heavens.
Ah, yeah, the concept of 7 heavens, or like layers of spiritual existence.
Right.
It appears in different religious and mystical traditions.
And in some belief systems, these heavens represent different levels of consciousness, different stages of spiritual ascent.
So like different levels of reality or existence.
Exactly, yeah. It's really a fascinating look at the idea that there are realms, beyond our physical perception that are somehow connected to this number.
So 7 is tied to like creation of the universe, cycle of time, and structure of the heavens.
It's true.
That's a pretty impressive resume for a single digit.
I never thought about it like that.
But then things get a little mysterious because we see 7 popping up in like folklore, right? Tales of the 7th son?
Yeah.
What's the story there?
Okay, so across many cultures, the 7th son, sometimes the 7th daughter, was believed to possess like unique powers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were often seen as healers, prophets, or having a special connection to the spiritual realm.
You think there's like a scientific basis for that, or just superstition?
It's hard to say for sure. While there's no scientific evidence to support the idea of like inherited supernatural abilities.
Right.
The belief might stem from the observation that sometimes traits, they seem to skip a generation.
Oh.
Or become more pronounced in later children.
Right, like, oh, he has his great-grandmother's eyes.
Exactly.
Fascinating. It seems like the further we dive into this, the more we find 7 connected to like the mystical, the unexplained. Our sources also mention alchemy and its connection to 7.
Right. Alchemy, with its goal of transformation, viewed the 7 celestial bodies as corresponding to 7 metals: gold, silver, iron, mercury, tin, copper, and lead.
Whoa.
Each metal was thought to embody the properties of its celestial counterpart, further blurring the line between like the physical and spiritual realms.
I see. And that focus on transformation and symbolic meaning also appears in like the mystical practice of tarot.
Precisely, yeah.
Okay.
In tarot, the major arcana, they're considered the most significant cards representing major life themes and archetypes.
Right.
And there are 7 of them
Okay.
that specifically address, like, these pivotal forces shaping our destinies. The Chariot symbolizing willpower and control, the Hermit representing introspection and soul searching and so on.
Yeah.
It's like these 7 cards tap into these fundamental aspects of the human experience.
Okay, so we've got ancient myths,
Yeah.
celestial bodies, mystical practices,
Yeah.
and now our sources bring up science.
Okay.
Is 7 hiding in plain sight in the scientific world as well?
You know what's fascinating is that it does appear in some intriguing scientific contexts.
Okay.
For example, there was psychologist George Miller
Yeah.
and his research on short-term memory. He identified what he called the magic number 7.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, which suggests that the average person can hold about 7 pieces of information in their mind at once.
7 digits in a phone number, 7 days of the week.
Right.
Maybe our brains are wired for 7.
That's a compelling thought.
Yeah.
And there are other examples too, like the structure of atoms, for instance.
Yeah.
It involves electrons arranging themselves in 7 shells around the nucleus.
Okay, so it's not just random, it's part of the fundamental structure of matter.
Exactly. And, that structure determines how an element interacts with other elements.
Whoa. So from the vastness of the cosmos to the tiny particles that make up everything around us,
Yeah.
7 keeps appearing.
It really does.
Okay, this is getting spooky.
Oh.
Speaking of spooky, our sources mention this modern-day mystery involving the number 7.
Oh.
Should we dive into that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so it seems there's this woman,
Okay.
and she's been receiving, like, these cryptic messages,
Cryptic messages, huh?
all somehow connected to the number 7.
Interesting.
Yeah, details are scarce, but
Yeah.
the sources suggest these messages could be objects, notes, symbols.
Strange.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
Okay.
But they all seem to appear without explanation, leaving her with this, like, unsettling feeling that something strange is happening.
It's like something straight out of a mystery novel.
Right. So, like, what does it all mean? We've got 7 woven into our history, our beliefs, even our scientific understanding of the world.
It's true.
And now this mysterious woman getting these messages.
Yeah.
Is the universe trying to tell us something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just a bunch of fascinating coincidences.
Okay.
But here's something to think about, the human mind.
Yeah.
It's wired to look for patterns.
Right.
To make connections.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps the significance of 7 isn't about the number itself,
Right.
but about what we, project onto it.
So, like, the mystery of 7 might be more about our own search for meaning.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
So, listeners,
Yeah,
take a look around.
I like that.
What patterns of 7 have you noticed in your own life?
Yeah, have you guys seen the number pop up in weird places?
Yeah, could there be a deeper meaning you haven't considered before?
That's a good question to think about.
Keep your eyes open and see where the mystery of 7 leads you.
Stay curious.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.